In Bellevue, the one that I'm in at least, I can only speak to that one, is completely full and has a hard time. They don't know where to put them near our team because we're out of desks.
Amazon looking to make major changes with its office space.
Yeah, that's right. We are here outside T-Mobile Park. 49,000 is actually just slightly over the capacity of this ballpark. So when you look at all the seats in the stadium, it's a really great way to visualize just how many desks being cut we are talking about.
Amazon confirmed this week it won't be renewing its lease on a 7-story Denny Triangle building just blocks from its Seattle headquarters.
Another shakeup at Amazon as the company closes down one of its Seattle locations and moves hundreds of workers to other facilities around the region.
The Puget Sound Business Journal reports the company will cut 49,000 desks by the end of the year.
The change creates huge challenges for small businesses that counted on those employees.
According to the Puget Sound Business Journal, the company is trying to cut its average office vacancy this year from 31% to a little less than 23%, which could be a purge of millions of square feet of office space.
The sizzle and savory aromas that greet customers at Market House Meats keep plenty of people coming back for more.
It comes as the company invests billions of dollars into AI.
But the manager says the foot traffic took a turn when Amazon left this Seattle neighborhood.
We still get few of them, but missing that building is a lot of customers for us.
The company will reach the goal in part by letting leases expire and subleasing or terminating leases when an office is largely vacant.
That building is Met Park North at the edge of South Lake Union. After years at this location, Amazon decided to not renew its lease and shifted 800 workers to other locations.
But it's tough for this area because this area was relying on those buildings, the metropolitan towers, and now they're all moving out.
Employees at other small businesses in the area shared similar stories.
It's a huge impact. The majority of these businesses are basically for Amazon.
The Amazon workers told staff at House Market Meats that the company no longer wanted to pay rent at Met Park North and move those 800 employees into buildings Amazon already owns, including locations in Bellevue.
The company is focused on real estate growth on the region's east side recently. In a statement, Amazon declined to confirm the specific desk cuts, but told us, quote, "We regularly evaluate our office footprint based on the needs of our business and employees," end quote.
Ever since the pandemic, it's clearly been hurting the area, and this is the final straw, I think, for a lot of people.
Amazon's proposing to cut 49,000 desks. Office space as company funnels billions into AI. Well, we just covered 251,000 square feet of office space back into the pool in Seattle. Seattle's already got some of the highest vacancy factor in the United States in its downtown core because nobody wants to have office space there. And it's becoming rapidly less and less popular when you've got a proposed statewide payroll tax, you've got a proposed millionaires tax, and then after that, you'll have just a regular old income tax to everybody. Because with the supermajority of Democrat rule, you've got tax and spend, tax and spend, tax and spend, just happening at a prolific level. And this is where you end up. You end up with one of the biggest employers, the biggest employer, state of Washington, going out of the state, out of Seattle to Bellevue. And that, I think, is temporary because as the statewide income tax comes in, it's going to be more beneficial for Amazon to move to Nevada, Florida, Texas, wherever. Lower tax environments where you don't have nut jobs who are constantly saying, well, we need the wealthy to pay their fair share. Well, they already are. They already are, and you're driving them out. So how's that working out for you? And you know who's going to be impacted the most? Those on the lower socioeconomic rung that can least afford to pay. And they're going to have to pay a state income tax. And they're going to be looking around going, good Lord, how'd it come down to just us? Well, everybody else left that could. And that's what you've got going on right now. Right now, as we speak, you've got mass exodus happening. In a move to reduce its office space globally, Amazon's real estate team plans 49,000 desks. Now, let's separate that from employees. They're not cutting 49,000 employees. They've just got an overabundance of office space with more desks than they need, and they're going to whack that from 30-something down to just over 20. They're going to try and cut that out because they're spending too much money on that as they dump $250 billion into AI, and we'll get to that. Amazon's Global Real Estate Facilities, GREF team, detailed its plans to cut the office space from 31 to 22.9. Plan could eliminate millions of square feet of office space across Amazon's company-wide offices as it aims to downsize to a level equivalent to its current workforce. So Amazon, like every other tech company, absolutely went crazy during the pandemic because, oh my gosh, we're all going to work from home forever. We're all going to need to have packages delivered, whatever. Let's expand. And now things are contracting, right? Things are contracting, especially in Seattle. Because you got a bunch of socialists that have gone after wealthy people, wealthy companies in general, and that has this massive trickle down when all those folks leave. And that's what you're experiencing. But the folks in leadership in Washington State and Seattle, they don't really get that, nor do they care. They just have this mantra of tax and spend, greatest thing ever. Until there's nobody left to tax, and then they can't spend, and then yeah. Socialism works for those who don't. As Amazon looks to invest billions of dollars into AI, company is seeking ways to cut costs to fund it. They've got Amazon can reach its goals by allowing leases to expire, hibernating offices, and subleasing or terminating its leases when the majority of an office is vacant. And that's what we saw last week, 251,000 square feet. So, basically a 250,000 square feet of space. Just, we don't need it. Thanks, but no thanks. It's been nice knowing you. Smell you later. Free up more than 10 million square feet. So 49,000 desks is the equivalent of 10 million square feet. In Seattle, Amazon employs roughly 65,000 corporate workers who occupy, call it 18 million square feet. Now, not all of the 10 million square feet of office space that we're talking about, not all is going to be in Seattle. Maybe a few million, but a few million on top of an already wildly not occupied market with the wildly vacant market. Oof, that is not going to be good. It's going the wrong direction. But that is what happens when you literally hire a socialist as your mayor. All businesses go, we don't want to deal with this. She's literally out there protesting against Starbucks, one of the major employers in the area, from Seattle. Amazon, same thing, from Seattle. They're a local Seattle company. Tax Amazon. Well, all right, until you can't, because they're gone. Nationwide, in 2025, Amazon had 40.2 million square feet of office space, an additional 28 million square feet internationally. So 68 million total, right? 18 million here in Seattle. And they're going to look to shed 10 million. If they shed 5 million in Seattle, which I don't think they will, it'll probably be a couple. Huge impact on Seattle itself. Amazon did not reveal where the office space cuts would be made and declined to specify. We regularly evaluate, that's one of those boring corporate statements. Here's one that we just talked about, the 251,000 square foot office building. So the reason that Seattle will be impacted the most is because this is already happening. We're already watching this in the works. Amazon corporate has already said, we're getting rid of a whole bunch of space, specifically in Seattle. And with their actions, they're pulling out. So we're going to Bellevue. Even though Amazon aims to reach a global vacancy rate of 22.9 this year, the company's ideal vacancy rate is 11%, meaning they've still got a ton of office space. So when you talk about empty buildings in Seattle that got hollowed out during the pandemic because nobody wanted to be there and everybody was doing the, work from home, remote forever, till it wasn't, until January 1st of this year. Yeah, we're going to need you all back in the office 5 days a week. That didn't go over well, right? Amazon also outlined its plans to add 1.8 million square feet of new office space this year. Guess where that'll be? Bellevue. Why? Because Bellevue isn't mentally challenged yet. We're working on it. In a Democrat-led state and county and city, there's always room for things going in the toilet, so don't count Bellevue out. It could get there. But it's unclear where the space would be located. It's not going to be in Seattle. We're not taking down any more space in Seattle. Going the other way. Here's that AI. CEO of Amazon announced to investors that Amazon would spend $200 billion on capital for AI and another $50 billion into OpenAI. Now, where are OpenAI's offices here in the greater Puget Sound area? Bellevue, along with xAI, which is Elon Musk's company. It's, just that's where your AI is going. It is not going to Seattle because Seattle, with policy, has basically pushed out anybody that's worth anything. And they've said, oh, we don't want to do business with you. That's effectively what they've said. We don't want to do business with you. We're going to need you to pay. And leadership is saying, pass. No, I don't think so. That's not what we're doing. We had 2 rounds of cuts, Amazon cuts, 30,000 employees in October and January. It's last October and January. 4,500 in Washington. So like 2,000, and a few hundred would be in Bellevue and the rest would be Seattle, spread out, of course, over some offices. So this is happening lickety split, and a lot of it's to do with leadership and terrible leadership. Terrible leadership on the state level, terrible leadership on local level. You just got a bunch of nut jobs running around. How about this one? Amazon has shed more than 1 million square feet of office space in Seattle since 2020. That roughly coordinates with the George Floyd. Remember that? Remember when people thought that defunding the police was the greatest thing ever? What about that? How did that work out? How did all of those cities that basically got burned to the ground, how did long term, are we still, on board with defunding no. That was the stupidest thing ever, wasn't it? I mean, that was just absolutely laughable that people actually thought out loud and said out loud, defund the police. It's kind of like no kings. Like, yeah, no kidding. There are no kings. Right. All right. Yeah. You guys go. Keep doing your signs, right? It's wild stuff. Defund the police. How about, defund ICE or whatever their campaign is there on that? Anything to do with getting rid of law enforcement is mentally challenged. It's just mentally challenged. Got to let them do their thing. That's how you create, public safety within your community. So 1 million square feet of office space since the pandemic. That's where Amazon's going, away from Seattle. And you really can't blame them. They've been pushed out. Amazon to move out a long-time office building near its main Seattle headquarters. This is the pattern. It is just happening. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. You've got so many buildings down there and so few people occupying them that Amazon is like, well, we need to get out of here. So no, we're not going to renew. And that's what they've done just consistently, is not renew space. And they're not building any new space. They're finishing out new space in Bellevue, and they will move there. And then when Bellevue gets a statewide payroll tax, and a bunch of other taxes, because the Democrats that run Washington State aren't going to be happy with just, millionaire tax and income tax. They're going to have to tax, their constituents just to the moon to pay for all of these social programs that are wildly unnecessary. But that's how it goes. That is literally how it goes. Because somebody's got to pay. And it can be Amazon for much longer, right? Yeah, I don't think so. I think we're going to exercise our ability to, our endeavor to work with other cities. We're going to spread the wealth around a little bit. And yeah, they're diversifying. They're diversifying from the Puget Sound region. And you really can't blame them. With leadership that we have here, it's mind-numbing that anybody wants to do business in Seattle right now. Amazon, no longer Seattle's #1 employer as the headcount dips below 50K. Now the University of Washington is. Does that not make absolute sense? University of Washington. Such a sad example for higher education. University of Washington, tragic. Its fall has been tragic. Just fill up the kids' heads with a bunch of gibberish, Yes, men can have babies. Yes, men needs tampons. Yeah. Wild. Amazon no longer Seattle's largest employer. 60,000 Seattle Amazon numbers peaked in 2020. Everything peaked in 2020. That was the crescendo, right? And then had the whole George Floyd thing. Then we had Chop Chaz. Just a bunch of lunatics running around. Just literally lunatics with machine guns out of the backs of cars, right? Ah! Kids getting murdered. Black kids at a Black Lives Matter event getting murdered. Amazon's workforce in Seattle has shrunk to under 50,000 employees, according to internal headcount. Once the largest employer, public or private, Amazon is now behind the University of Washington, which has 50,000 employees in Seattle. Good luck with that. Terrible. You've got institutions here just rotting away because that's how things are going here, West Coast, Best Coast. Things are literally imploding upon themselves. And we're going to cover it right here on News for Reasonable People because that's what we do. And we cover in real time some of the craziest news stories that shouldn't be happening, but are. Like Seattle pushing out its biggest employer with a series of taxes and terrible policy moves that they can't seem to get out of their own way. They're so excited to put them in place. Yeah, it's not working out well. It's not going to work out well. And long term, absolute train wreck, which we're going to cover. Make sure you're subscribed, that notification bell. I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks again for being here. Bye for now.